Was this the diabolical mind tricks of Satan himself to sort of stage whispering into David's ears? God's not going to rescue you this time. That's a dark scenario. Verses 1 and 2. Pause. Salah. Let it sink in. Verse 3. But you are a shield around me, O Yahweh. You bestow glory on me and lift up my head. To the Lord I cried aloud. To Yahweh I cry aloud. And he answers me from his holy hill. Be impressed with the fact that verses 3 and 4 are nothing like verses 1 and 2, right? The tune, the tempo, the mood of the song changes with the change of the mood of the lyrics. This is what the enemies are saying. This is what David reminds himself of. And he goes back and he draws from the verbiage that God himself had declared to Abram. And don't let it miss your understanding that Abram won the battle, and right now it looks like David is losing the battle. And David is saying with confidence, he is reminding himself, but you are a shield about me. You are a shield that surrounds me. Now I find that really interesting. Because as we've already noted, and as we as great scholars of ancient warfare have determined that a shield can only protect so much. And your goal as a good soldier was just to keep the shield between you and the enemy. It's almost like in this moment, David becomes, pardon me for this, it's almost like David becomes a science fiction writer. What David is describing and what the Lord is providing for him, the imagery is almost like a force field. It's around him on all sides. But you, O Yahweh, are a shield about me. You're a shield that surrounds me. What an incredible reminder, because at this moment, David doesn't know who his enemies are. He doesn't know who he can trust. He doesn't know who's got his back. Yahweh's got his back. Jehovah has his back. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me. There are three definitive things that David says about God. That's the first. I want you to note the second. And you are my glory. You are my glory. Think about the glory of a king. You remember that Jesus, in his earthly ministry, he stopped and as he taught and as he gave us perspective, he talked about the lilies of the field, how they grow, and said, in reference to King Solomon, that King Solomon in all of his glory was not dressed as beautifully as these lilies that are here today in God's house. Remember that? All right, so think for a moment. What is the glory of a king? What was Solomon's glory? Oh, man. He had splendor galore, right? We talked yesterday. How much, do you remember? How much gold was he bringing in every single year? Anyone remember? 25,000 tons of gold every year. 25,000 tons of gold. This year and the next year, 25,000 tons of gold again. Market value, today's economy, gold prices, 25,000 tons of gold, $1.2 billion. And then the description goes on of how Solomon built and decorated his palace, his throne room, his robes. And then the Queen of Sheba comes and says, the half of it hasn't been told. Solomon's glory, the glory of a king, the glory of Queen Elizabeth, are the crowns, the robes, the jewels, the splendor of the palace. David, at this moment, has none of that. He is running. He is fleeing. He is barefoot. He turns to his wives, he turns to his concubines and says, go back. They'll be merciful to you. It'll be worse if you are with me. I am a man on the run. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me. And you are my glory. David's got no crowns. He's got no robes, no gold, nothing with him. I think in part what David is doing is he's latching onto, he's hanging on to that promise that God made him back in 1 Samuel chapter 7, that he was the king, and that his descendants, from his descendants, would come one who would sit on the throne of David, the promised Messiah. But you, O Lord, are a shield about me, and you are my glory. And then the third declaration that David makes, you are the lifter of my head. I think that one's my favorite. There's not a parent here that hasn't had that moment with your child when, for whatever reason, their shoulders are forward and their head is down. And as a parent, you got right down by them, and you either put your hand under their chin or you put both hands on either side of their face. And what did you do? You turned their face up and you talked to them. You get that? That's what David is saying right here. You are a shield about me. Speaks in military type language, right? You are my glory. Speaks to David's experience as a king and speaks in terms of the promises that God had made of dynasty and of covenant. But when David says, you are the lifter of my head, he's looking to God as a parent, as a father. And then, in verse 4, he says, to Yahweh I cry aloud. I am crying to him as the Almighty General. I am crying to him as the God who makes promises and delivers on those promises. I am crying to him like I would a little child to a parent. And he answers me from his holy hill. Is David referring to heaven on high? Quite possibly. Or is David referring back to Jerusalem, where all the mess is going on right now? But that's where God's tabernacle still is. Out of the very heart of the mess, God answered. Selah. Pause. Now we're going to have yet another change, and very quickly, look at the rest of the psalm. I lie down and sleep. I wake again because Yahweh sustains me. I will not fear the tens of thousands drawn up against me on every side. Arise, O Lord. Deliver me, O my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked. From Yahweh comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people. Salah. So in the first two verses, it is as dark, it is as bleak as it can be. In verses 3 and 4, we see David's resolve. This is going to be my perspective. This is going to be where I anchor my heart. I am calling on the Lord. This is what the Lord has promised. This is what the Lord is going to do. He is going to be my shield. He is going to be my glory. He is going to lift up my head. I am crying out to Him. Case closed. Done. Psalm should end right there. Problem, resolution. Problem, answer. So what's the story with verses 5 through 8? 5 through 8 is the practical living out of living in the confidence that is expressed in verses 3 and 4. And the real problem that's still there of enemies talked about back in verses 1 and 2. What verses 5 through 8 do for us is they make it very, very practical. You see, this isn't just theoretical. This isn't just spiritual. And we put it over here in this cubbyhole, and then we get back to work, and we get back to real life, quote unquote. This shows us how the spiritual impacts daily life. And so David, based on the fact that he knows that the Lord is his shield, his glory, the lifter of his head, tells us how he's going to go about life. So, in verse 5, I'm going to lay down. I'm going to sleep. It's not going to keep me up at night. I wake again. Why? Because the Lord is the one who's going to sustain me. He is the one who gives me strength. Like that old saying, why should I stay up all night worrying about it? I'm going to get some sleep. The Lord, He's going to be up all night anyway. Let Him handle it. David's perspective is, even though I'm still surrounded by enemies, I can have a sweet rest because I know God is in control. He says, I'm not going to fear tens of thousands that are drawn up against me on every side. Get the point of what he's saying. If there are 5,000 this way and 5,000 behind me, I don't have to worry. Because my God, He is a shield all around. If there's a couple of thousand over here that I forgot to count the first time, and a whole bunch of folks over on this side, I don't have to worry. Because God is my shield all around me. Now, context here is literal military. But we know and we understand that this is speaking about spiritual warfare for us. And Satan loves nothing more than to try to do a sneak attack, to do a roundabout, and ambush us when we're least prepared. But thou, O Lord, art a shield around us.